Yes, I'm Jan Skjoldhammer. I'm the founder and CEO of Noviocean. The company is now 7 years old, and we are developing this baby behind us here, which is a combined wave energy and wind energy and solar energy converter. This is just a small one, prototype, but the large one will be 1 megawatt, and now it's under design and should be in the water in about 2 years' time, given we have enough financing and partners. My background is a bit different from most other ones in this sector. I'm an ex-officer, I have an economics degree, and I've been flying aircraft for 25 years. And reading about the climate crisis, and then flying across the Atlantic, seeing those fuel gauges going like this, burning 40,000 liters for one flight, it made me feel, let's say, more motivated to do something about this. And having this idea at that time laying in my drawer and knowing the enormous forces in the waves, it propelled me to say bye-bye to SIS and start doing this instead. This one is just 5.5 meters long, 1 kilowatt. What we're now designing is 38 meters long, 9 meters wide, 4 meters high, plus 7 meters of turbines on top, weighing about 140 tons and creating 1 megawatt. So that's 1,000 more power thanks to the larger size. The numbers are kind of astonishing if you compare to competition and to wind power, solar power. It's much more stable. So we believe we can contribute quite, largely to mitigating the climate crisis by this thing. And we can power ports, we can do desalination, we can power small islands, offshore, remote locations, coastlines, hydrogen, many purposes once you extract energy from the system. I can only speak for myself. The reason we have this combination is that other ones have floating wave power, floating wind power, and floating solar. And they all need a float underneath or a barge. They need mooring lines, they need a generator, and they need all the cabling, communication. So when you first have this baby here out to sea in big size, why not use the same system for more than one thing? Because you have paid for all those things already. So it gives more bang for the buck, if I may say so. No, there is one company which is combining wave power and hydrogen, but we're the only one having this system here. We're also the only one, showing 1 megawatt, and in relation to the weight we have, that output is kind of astonishing compared to what other ones are doing right now. So we do have the numbers. Fantastic. That is a bit simple. It's almost like floating offshore wind. First you have a dynamic cable going down like this to the seafloor. Then you have a static cable going in by the subsea. But offshore wind is often out to sea 20, 30 kilometers with a long cable. We can be out to sea 1 kilometer, 5 kilometers, hardly visible, doesn't make any noise, and have a much shorter cable, cheaper. We can also be co-located with wind power. And if we co-locate, we can give about 3 to 4 times more energy per sea area. And as you know, there is just a limited amount of sea available, which is not used for military or shipping or fishing. So we can get more, again, bang for the buck is desirable for anyone. Same cable as wind power, same licensing and all that stuff. Well, on the short term, we are now needing more financing because it costs a few dollars to build this thing. And we're now starting a campaign with Republic Europe, a crowdfunding system, very large also in the UK, previously called Cedars. So anyone listening, click on Cedars and Republic and log in, and you can buy shares for something good. So we're looking for investors, philanthropists if possible, and financing to build the big one. Capex about 3.6 million euros, and then more for operation of our company for the next 2-3 years. It's important to also say that we're doing this to mitigate the climate crisis, as of course wind power, sun power, many others do. Our system can mitigate per year about 10,000 tons of CO2 if you compare to the ones using diesel, for instance, islands or often desalination. If you compare to normal energy, it's about 4,000 tons of CO2 which we can avoid per unit, which is enormous. And the amount of steel going into this one is also 50% of floating wind. So it's better for the climate to use wave power. One more thing also I want to mention is that wave power by itself is much more stable than wind power and of course sun power. And it's also off-phased, so meaning that when the wind goes down, very often the waves remains for 2 days. And that's when you pay the most for your power, electricity, in the UK and around the world. You have double the price. So if you are using this system, you are balancing out the energy coming into the island or to the countryside, meaning less need for storage. And now as you have more and more solar and wind into the system, it's more and more unstable, you need more and more batteries. And batteries are expensive and also kind of unsustainable at large scale. So having our system helps the climate 2 ways. You emit, of course, less CO2, and you counteract the imbalances of wind power and solar power correctly. European Union states also that the ocean energy is the largest untapped energy source of the world. The largest. You can power 60% of the US just by wave power. Add also the wind power and sun power is even better. So it's not a small thing. That's why it's also, right now we're a small company. What we have is, in my opinion, with a huge potential. Right now we are 6 persons full time. In a few years we could be 60 or 600 in some time.